Movies are incredibly creative, and there's always new stories and new action and new characters, but they have a structure to follow, making sure that you're connecting with your audience every step of the way. Can you imagine if you create a quest for your audience that they want to see achieved? If you make them the hero and you're the wise guide that comes along a third of the way through the film to help them achieve their quest, then you're invaluable. The key thing there is starting your story with tension. You hook them in straight away. Then you talk about how you solve it. And we end the story with your audience's greatest love. Their greatest tension and their greatest love has got nothing to do with you.
Your story will probably lead very much into the subject matter. Why don't you give us a little background into what you have done career-wise? Because I know it's all led you to what you're doing today.
I started work as a copywriter in advertising. At the age of 19, I did that for over 30 years, and I loved every single day until I didn't. Budgets were getting tighter and my clients were getting younger and more opinionated. So I jumped from advertising into entertainment, and my unique two worlds, I put them together to create Narrativity. And I break down the elements of films for brands to give them the things they need. So I create a genre for my clients to outline the kind of story they want to tell, their enemy and superpower, their quest, their controlling idea, their backstory, their love story, all these things. And it just makes them tell a far more engaging story and stops them telling the story they want to tell and start telling the one the audience wants to. And so many businesses are just obsessed about getting across their proof points when no one cares. But if you can create something that your audience wants, if you make them the hero, and you're the wise guide that comes along a third of the way through the film to help them achieve their quest, then you're invaluable to your audience. So it's a flip. And basically, my biggest job is get my clients out of their own way and start really thinking about how to emotionally engage their audience.
Wow. I love the intersection of the two lives that you led and how they came together, and you landed on, okay, this is the culmination. For now, who knows where that's going to continue to lead you? Because as we've seen, nothing is like the path forever, and there will probably be another evolution of this, but I love it. And I was really excited when I looked up your website, when I saw Narrativity, and as somebody who does marketing too, thinking, oh my goodness, this is exactly what so many of my clients have needed. And it's so helpful to have a formula just to break down how can we bring in these elements that work for us every day and actually apply them. And I think you address like what the biggest challenge is, getting out of their own way. And going from, oh, but I feel so passionate. Entrepreneurs are so passionate. They have a mission, right? How do I take this to the world? But I don't want to limit it. And I don't want to, like that can be one of the most challenging things. So amazing. And I want to hear, you've mentioned some of those pieces, the genre and the enemy and the story. So when you are dealing with a brand that, let's say we're marketing on social media, this isn't happening in a 2-hour time frame. This is happening over the course of years, months of pieces of content. Can you break down even a little bit more how you help reframe that from what I think I'm supposed to share and what my points are into getting into the head of the viewer and how you start to shape that story?
For sure. So just touching on something you just said before is the entrepreneurs are so obsessed about their vision and their passion, but they always tell a terrible story. The number one reason is they're too close to it. They can't see what actually makes them really powerful. And I have to say, my most difficult client is me, because I'm too close to it. I can't even see why I'm good, but my job is to tell all the other businesses why they're great, but I struggle with my own because I'm too close to it.
I think that's normal.
It's normal.
I do the same thing where I'm like, am I actually good at what I do? Because I cannot do this for myself.
I know.
I cannot find the undercurrent of what it is that I can't put this into words. I don't know what the right thing is to say sometimes.
Yeah. And entrepreneurs, when you tell them your story's pretty bad, they go, everyone loves my story. And I go, yeah, because do you tell them and do you employ them? Yeah. Well, they're hardly going to tell you it's a bad story, are they?
That's why you hired me.
But that's where the formulas really help. And it's fascinating to think, when coming from advertising where formula or formulaic is a dirty word because you have to be fresh creative every time. But what you realize is movies are incredibly creative, and there's always new stories and new action and new characters, but they have a structure to follow that allows them to be more creative. The structure is just making sure that you're connecting with your audience every step of the way. So that's what I do. And it helps me tell my story because I just go to my formula and I go, okay, so I'm going to give you an example of one of the formulas. It's my favorite formula. And it's based on the most powerful trick in Hollywood, which is the quest. So movies work because a hero has a quest at the start of the film that drives them all the way through the film. And that quest is never furthest away than 10 minutes before the end of the film, but somehow it gets achieved. But the reason the quest works is because we, the audience, agree with it. And we watch that film all the way to the end, even if it's a terrible film. We don't get up and leave because we're not happy until we see that quest achieved. So can you imagine if you create a quest for your audience that they want to see achieved? It's so powerful. And so I'll give you the formula. The movie's created, it's what does the hero do, who for, and what value do they add to their lives? So if you think about Star Wars, Luke is saving what he's doing, who for the galaxy, and the value by defeating the dark side. Save the galaxy by defeating the dark side. For Barbie, restoring girls' boundary between perfection and reality. What's she doing? Restoring who for girls, the value. And for Finding Nemo, it's finding Nemo. What Dad is doing is finding who for Nemo. The value is finding Nemo. That's it. It's so simple. So sometimes you don't need to explain it if what you do and who for is the value. So if you translate that to businesses, I did it for a funder for small to medium businesses. And they said, we don't need to do this because we've just done it. We spent 6 months creating it. And I said, great, what is it? And they said to be the #1 independent funder for small to medium businesses in the UK. And I went, that's a terrible quest. And they went, why? And I went, it's all about you. Think about your audience, who you need as a customer. They're a small business that needs funding. So they're in financial difficulty. They can't sleep at night. They come to you and you say you want to be #1. You're not going to become #1. They were #3, by the way. And so we did the quest. What do they do? Relieving who for business owners, and the value, relieving business owners from the pressures thereof. That audience, as soon as they hear that, the weight lifts off and they go, I want to see that achieved. And guess what? Within 6 months, they became the #1 independent funder for small to medium business in the UK. They went from 3 to 1 just by telling that one message. So I'll give you a couple of other examples because it's a very simple formula and all of you listening can do it. What do you do? I'm going to tell you my quest. What do I do? Turning who for businesses, and the value, turning businesses into loved brands. For a university, it was the Finding Nemo model, furthering humanity. And if we look at, because I looked at Millionaire University, and I looked at the website, and I saw on the website a whole lot of different quests. So helping entrepreneurs make money in less time. That's a quest. What do you do? Helping who for entrepreneurs, value, make money in less time. But I feel as a quest, it's very rational. Make more money in less time. It's not emotive and it's not big enough. It's not simple enough. If you think about Finding Nemo, furthering humanity, turning businesses into loved brands, relieving business owners from the pressures on it, it's so simple and evocative. There's other ones that's on the site, which is help people find their passion in life, or teaching people how they can provide for their family and live a rich, happy life. A bit long. So I looked at everything that Millionaire University does, and being a university, you're teaching. So what do you do? Giving who for people, and the value, giving people the lessons that pay off in every way.
I love that.
And you can see the difference between how a business would normally talk about their rational things like Most business would say helping entrepreneurs make more money in less time, and they'd be very happy with that. Yes, that's what we do. Tick. But think about all the people listening now. Are they going to be more excited about making more money in less time, or learning the lessons that pay off in every way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's not complicated either. Like you said, it's not this really long formula where you're having to piece together all of these things. And I love that the value itself can be summarized sometimes in just the who and the what. And that right there just tells you exactly the why, essentially. And yeah, as you were talking about that, I was thinking men tend to have more of that logical minded, like reasoning, and let's just get to the facts, the strategy. Women are typically more emotional overall in general. So I think it's like bringing a little bit more of that emotional draw into it and not getting too narrow-minded about, okay, let's just label it. Let's stick some words on it so we can explain it, and really taking the time to understand the depth of the transformation or the impact that your brand is going to create. That alone, like in my opinion, you just taking that one transition can take a brand to a whole new level, because so many other brands are refusing to do that, and they stay just in that like pretty words even, or just a really concrete, simple label.
One of my favorite quests I did was for palliative care, and they started crying when we cracked it. But the quest was giving people their best death possible. Now, can you imagine, you go, oh, my mum's got to go into palliative care, where we go, and you look at all the others and they all talk about care and looking after you in the best way possible and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. But as soon as one of them says, I'm going to give her the best death possible, that's the one you're going to use. That's the quest you want to see achieved. We all want to have the best death possible.
Yeah.
So, and it's breaking it down. You're so right. It's breaking it down into the most simple, but big and emotive. So a way to do that is, if you're creating your own quest at home, when you get to your first one, which may be something like make more money in less time, I would go, great. What's the benefit of that? Then you'll come up with another one and then go, what's the benefit of that? And what's the benefit of that? Until you can't get any bigger or more emotive anymore. And sometimes it might get too big, but you'll know you cracked it. And just about every session, someone will go, oh my God, goosebumps. Or they cry, like the palliative care. And that's when you know it, because the reason you get excited is you see what your customers are going to see about it. That's when you know you've got a great quest.
Yeah, because it can be easy to get excited, even about the original versions that some of these brands have, where they're thinking like, oh, this is so good. We've nailed it down. It makes so much sense. And you can get just as emotionally invested in that, but it's a different emotional reaction to where, like you said, you're seeing it through the eyes of the beholder instead of just your own excitement. So ideally, it's like an intersection of those two things where you start to light up and get really excited about the movement in a way you never have, because you understand they're going to get it. This is going to change lives. And I don't even have to over-explain it anymore.
You don't have to explain it.
It's not just me.
And if you've noticed, none of those quests were for movies, or the ones I created for my client explain how they do it. They sell the dream, because your audience says, I want to see that achieved. And another good test is if you go back to the funder, and they were very excited to be the number one independent funder for small to medium business. That's what you want, not what your customer wants. So the big difference between relieving business owners from the pressures they're under, that's what they want to see achieved. But also they were so proud to say, that's what we do. We relieve business owners from the pressures they're under. And another key thing about moving it from what you want to what your customer wants is it's so much easier internally to make decisions against. Because the funder, if they have to make decisions about should we do this new product or strategy, if they go, will it make us number one? It's subjective. I don't know. Maybe not. Does it relieve our customers from the pressures they're under? It's easy to judge. Yes, it does. We should do it. The more you make your quest come true, the stronger your business will get. And if it doesn't relieve them from the pressures they're under, don't do it. Because that's just you doing something for you, not for your customer. So it's a very
funny,
powerful thing.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch how people, I don't know very many entrepreneurs that are not impact driven. Some people are not, and they're just like, I love the game of making money. But at the end of the day, I think everybody to their core loves to see impact. They have something bigger that they want to achieve. But it's interesting how a lot of the behavior that I see when somebody is struggling with their business doesn't really imply that. Like you said, it's so much more focused on, this is what I need. And so there's a level of trust and a level of surrender that has to come in there to where you understand that will be the byproduct. Becoming number one, making a certain amount of money will be the byproduct of you actually serving and helping someone. And so you have to get out of your own way and stop making it about you. I just this morning saw somebody on social media talking about how she wants to hit 10,000 followers. Like, that is her mission. And I was like, do I DM her and say, it's totally fine to put your dream out there? I've put my dream out there, but at the end of the day, like, nobody really cares to be another follower to help you get to 10,000. What you need to lean into is she's saying, I want this because I have an important message. Well, just share the message. Share the message over and over. Who are you trying to help? Talk to her every day, and that will help you reach 10,000, 100,000 people. But we get so excited. We want to explain why the vision is worthy. We think in talking about our own personal goal that it's going to be a rally cry, when sometimes it can actually even alienate and push people away.
Absolutely.
Because they're like, well, why should I care? So with that being said, I love something else that you mentioned about we're not even giving the how. And I've noticed in sometimes people's content, their emails, their social media content, they focus too much on the how. They get right into educating. They get right into it. And if I'm thinking about this in terms of a movie, how boring would it be if you just watch the first few scenes where they're just working their job or living their life? There has to be something moving that along. And we don't want to just watch, unless it's a documentary, but that's very different than a feature film.
Yeah, but even a documentary, if you expose too much, if you explain too much, it's a really boring film.
Yeah.
It removes the tension and it bogs the movie down. It stops the action and it leaves nothing into the imagination of the audience. So if you think about my quest, helping businesses become loved brands, I've left so much in the imagination for that business to go, hey, that's what I want. And they're imagining what a loved brand looks like. If I got really specific, it may or may not work for them. So that's the beauty of the quest, and not explaining too much of the how, is you're exciting your audience and you're leaving room for them to play a part in it. And you're leaving them room to imagine the exact thing that they want in your business.
Yeah. So when it comes to those pieces of content, as you continue to tell the story over time, because it is continuous, can you explain a little bit how you might approach that even in an individual piece of content, or how you can keep the story flowing and focus on what they want and maybe honor what that quest is, even on a micro level?
Yeah, look, so the quest is like an overarching statement. It's your customer mission, and you can change it. Like, it's a really great thing to start any presentation with, even internally. Think if it's your boss, that's your audience. What do you do for them, and what value you're going to add to the lives of the company? It's a really powerful thing. But so you can use the quest again and again, but I have different things for different areas. So for instance, on social media, whether it's a video or some copy, I like to use the love story. The reason I call it the love story is when you hear it, your audience will fall in love with you, because it has a beginning, a middle, and end. It's a classic story structure. But we start the story with your audience's greatest tension in life. So you hook them in straight away. They go, oh my God, I hate that. Yes. Then you talk about how you solve it. You don't just start by going, aren't we great? because you're not relevant then. But if you start with your audience's greatest tension and then talk about how you solve it, then all of a sudden you're valuable and you're relevant. And we end the story with your audience's greatest love. And both their greatest tension and their greatest love has got nothing to do with you. And that's how you will make them love you, because they go, I hate that and I love that, and you're going to stop what I hate and give me what I love. And a key thing there is starting your story with tension. And the greatest marketing myth of all time is you can't say anything negative in your communication. That is rubbish. If movies didn't have tension, we wouldn't watch one of them. Tension works. And I'll give you a couple of examples so
yes, please,
people can understand it. So the other thing is people who use tension really well is political parties. They've been doing it for decades. And the reason they do it is because it works. It's far more powerful to be negative about your opposition than it is to talk about how great you are, the things you're going to do. So tension works. It draws your story in. I'm going to give you an example of a freight insure company. Doesn't sound sexy, but a freight insurance company, when these big freight companies put valuable stuff in containers and travel across the oceans, and there's a storm, things break. And so this company insures the damage. So we start the story with that tension. So if you're the company that's shipping stuff on, we start with, when there's loss and damage, and there will be, it damages your profit and your reputation. Now, they're in. They're in.
Give me the solution.
Give me
right
the
now,
solution.
Right?
And then this company says, we can't stop the damage, but we can prevent the fallout. When things go wrong, Freight Insure makes them right. An extension of your offering, our seamless tech and team keep your customers happy. So now we end with their greatest love. So whatever the damage, there's no loss. We make you and your bottom line look good, always. Their greatest love is looking good themselves and their bottom line.
Yeah.
How can you not use these people for your insurance? But can you see a normal freight insurance company would talk about their efficiencies, their care, their cost, their blah, blah, blah. But to start with, when there's loss and damage, and there will be, it damages your profit and your reputation. You just go, I need these people.
Yeah. Well, because you're talking about insurance, I just thought about a lot of the insurance commercials that I remember are the ones that start with that, the baseball going into the window, the car crash, the thing that is the immediate tension that everybody's going to be like, oh, that's like literally one of my greatest fears, or that's something that I worry about, or something I've experienced and I don't like it. And so then you're hearing about, oh, here's how we can solve this, and it's going to be so much better, all the way into usually at the end of the commercial, right? The happy family, the brand new car, everything is pristine. That's how we want order. We want safety.
And
so
also,
I'm going to start seeing this everywhere.
Also, the power of that and why insurance companies do it is the biggest barrier is it's a waste of money. What we pay this year after year, and they're just getting rich, and we don't make a claim. So when they show you this is going to happen, you go, I better get insurance. So they use tension very well. That is a classic story. And I'll give you one more. I like showing the difficult stories. This is another insurer. It's a UK pet insurer called Waggle. And so again, think about, we're starting with a tension. But this is cased in a positive way, which gets people in. So anyone who has a pet, the headline is, thank goodness for pets. They're the beautiful antidote to this crazy, messed up world. But pet lovers usually have one pet hate: insurance. So you've triggered that thing, and they're nodding. This is from an insurer, and they're saying, you hate insurance. We know you do. So already you're in. You go, I'm listening to these people. It's why Waggle makes it so simple, affordable, and personal. You don't have to fret about the vet either. We'll sort it, protecting you from financial shocks. We end where their greatest love. Less stress, more love. Isn't that what having a pet is all about? So we've taken a very boring thing that people don't like, insurance, and have you nodding. And I can see you nodding. But here's a very cool trick when you're writing stories, and I've just used that there. Isn't that what having a pet is all about? Our brains are hardwired to answer questions, no matter what question it is. We will answer it in our minds or verbally. So brands make the big mistake of putting a question at the start of a commercial. Do you need pet insurance? People will go, no, because you will answer it and you've blocked off from the rest of the ad. Never start an ad with a question. But ending it, that is powerful. Less stress, more love. Isn't that what having a pet is all about? They're nodding and going, yes, they're right. I like this.
Yeah.
So
by then they've bought in, right? They're like invested in the message.
Yeah. And they're never going to say no to the question you say at the end. So that's a little trick. But you can see that formula, beginning, a middle, and end, problem to overcome, solution, happy ending with a moral to the story, will work in any format because it's a classic story structure. But you'll be far more successful if the tension at the front is your audience's greatest tension and the happy ending is their greatest love. Without trying to force fit you or your business in it, you will answer that first question somehow.
Yeah. And so I would assume that you don't want every single piece of content to mimic this exact strategy, right? Are you varying this with other types of storytelling?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, just like the movies, every story is different. You can use the same structure, but every story is different. There's different characters, there's different locations, there's different tone. So it can be funny, it can be hard-hitting, it can be quirky. So everything.
Lots of layers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'm curious. I know other people listening might wonder this too. We're trying to make this the hero's journey for our listener, for our buyer, our investor, our boss. Where does our story come into that? Like, how do we share those personal experiences? Because I will tell you, like, some of my most viral videos are really not me directly saying, let me tell you about a time. It's actually started with, I remember this happening, but I'm really speaking through the video. It's educating them on what I understood, like when I was in my journey, but I'm still wanting to show up as an expert. I'm still wanting to be that leader that they come to. So can you explain whether there's a specific tool that you use within your framework or, you know, where we fit that in? How do we share our story to connect without it being all about us?
So when I sat down to create these formulas for Narrativity, I knew what you were asking was really key. And every business has an About Us page because that's where we go, who are these people? I want to find out more about them, and it's got to be more personal. And what I noticed when I read lots of About Us pages, and maybe it's because of the title, but they just talked about themselves and they talked about how amazing they were. Now, I thought if this was a film, that would be the most boring hero of all time, and we wouldn't actually like that person because they're just too perfect. So for About Us, I looked at the movies and went, how do they do it? And it's the backstory. The writer creates a backstory for every hero and villain as well, because they have to explain why that villain is so evil. And here's the thing about a backstory. Nothing good ever happens in a backstory. For 27 Dresses, Catherine Weigel was bridesmaid 27 times. People are unlucky in love, but the most common backstory of all time is my parents are dead. Whether it's Batman, Superman, but the greatest killer of parents of all time the greatest mass murderer of mum and dad is Disney.
I was going to say Disney, I don't know very many with both living parents, if any.
It's horrible. It's horrific. Children are crying at the start of every Disney film because mum and dad have just died. And it goes right back to Bambi and Finding Nemo. Mum was eaten by a shark. Poor Simba watched dad murdered in front of him by his own uncle. Like, it's horrific.
Yep.
And what killing parents does, or any backstory does, it creates incredible empathy with the audience. So when that main character is a child, which is usually in the Disney films, it creates incredible empathy. And it's genius too, because when the kids leave the film, they want to buy the merchandise, they want to buy the toy to give that poor orphan a home.
So that's so fascinating.
It's a genius model. So the whole purpose of the backstory is to create empathy during the film for the characters. So they have to create something bad that's happened to them in the past. So I went, how do I do that for brands and how do they do that for individuals? So the formula for the backstory is, what do you hate that your audience hates just as much? So for me, I go, I hate waste. I hate wasting words. I hate wasting time. I hate wasting money. So I'm saying this is my story, but I know my audience is going, oh, I hate wasting time and money too. So they're aligning themselves with me and go, yes, we're the same. I hate that. Then this is the thing that people or businesses never do, is you talk about the struggles you've gone through to overcome that villain, the thing you hate. As soon as you start talking about the struggles you've gone through, they're cheering for you. There's that empathy that the movies use in the backstory. They're going, I want you to win. And you're showing the lengths you'll go to get something right, the obstacles you've had to overcome. People are cheering for you because they want you to overcome that thing you hate. And then you talk about the transformation that took place to allow you to defeat that villain. And they're cheering for you. You're amazing. I want to work with you. I find the 1-2 punch of the love story I just told you before, followed by they've fallen in love with you, then they read the backstory, they're going to work with you. So that the backstory formula is what I use to tell that personal story, to get people to really buy into you and your background, how you've got to be here today.
Yeah. I love that. Good insight. Because I've looked at the pieces of content for me that have done really well and tried to break down why. Sometimes it is just a really great hook, but I've noticed there is a theme for me, and it is the storytelling, but it's not talking at my audience. It's like bringing them along and taking them through a snapshot, a history, a lesson that I learned, something that I was told once upon a time that I'm now sharing with you because it actually really helped me. And it's not that I'm bringing myself down to where I'm like, oh, I'm learning this right alongside you guys. I mean, I think that works too sometimes, where you are literally creating a movement. You're the poster child for everybody and they all want you to succeed. But what I'm speaking to, if you already have that level of expertise and you know you have tools that can help people, you know you have the how, you have to make sure that you are drawing them in so that they know, I once struggled with this, I don't anymore. So I look at that love story, right? Of, you can even break this down with your personal story, couldn't you? Where it's like, this horrible thing happened and here's how I solved it. And now here's how my life is. And somebody's going to see themselves mirrored in that a little bit and want to, they don't need to know all the steps how, but they want it because they want to go from the tension they might be having into the results that you have now. They
relate to you. They empathize with you. And you succeeded. You overcame the obstacles. That's why a hero is not a hero unless they overcome something. Otherwise, they're just a boring person that has a good life. But if you overcome something, you're a hero. That's what the backstory formula does so well for you about us or your personal stories. I really love it. And I have to say, I would say 80% of the time when I read backstory, to a founder, they cry.
Mm.
And for a number of reasons,
should,
they feel seen, they relate to it. I'm expressing the struggles, but also they really see as part of the bigger picture of all the stories I create. They go, I know I'm going to succeed more because people are going to see the real me. I've always known my business was this good, but I've never been able to express it in this way. And it's a beautiful thing. And they always apologize a lot. And I go, no, I love this. How wonderful that you're crying at these stories. It's great.
Yeah. Well, I know we're about out of time, but I'm just curious your take on this. We're seeing in social media, I don't know how much you're on there watching content, but there's been this massive shift with big brands who are really trying to personalize those brands. And it's really much less hard selling of the product and more just like, hey, we're on here hanging out with you guys too. You know, you have these Taco Bell and McDonald's and these huge brands that are commenting and engaging and they're funny and they're witty and they almost have this persona to them now. Where does that fit into what maybe you teach and what like pattern do you see in that? And also just like, what's your hot take as a consumer on why this is working so well?
Yeah. I mean, we just saw it with Gwyneth Paltrow and Astrologer company. The guy was caught on Coldplay cam, astronomy. Brands having fun, just being brave and not taking themselves seriously. People love that. And that's what I talked about earlier when I realized advertising had changed because I've worked on Kellogg's and McDonald's and P&G and all those brands. And you could never do that. You were a big, important brand and people looked up to brands and they wanted to put trust in a brand. But trust is the most horrible word that marketing uses now. And every company I go into work with, they go, Greg, the most important thing for us is trust. And I went, yeah, you and every other company in the world. And I have about 20 words that I ban my clients from using. And number one on the list is trust. And they get horrified when I say, we are not using any of these words. And they go, but they're all the ones I use. And I go, exactly, but everyone else does too. And my job is to make you unique. Trust works only when you work out what is it we do that makes people trust it. Now, by being funny, being more like you, by being weird, being whatever, all those things you were saying that brands are doing now is creating trust. Because people go, oh yeah, you're not standoffish. You're not better than us. You're real and you're funny. And yeah, I might follow you. If I start following you, I'm probably more likely to use you. That's why it works. So the brands that say we're about trust and integrity is like, I just roll my eyes and go, well, good luck with that.
Yeah, it's you and everyone else, like you said. There's a lot of buzzwords in marketing that are tricky. And when we talked about it's hard to do for yourself, there were months that I have not put things out there, offers out there sold because I couldn't quite convey without using those cliche words. And I just knew I wasn't supposed to use those words and knew that was not the message. And so it took a little bit more time to dig deeper and figure out, like you said, what would it be that would cause trust? What makes it relatable without saying, I'm the relatable blah, blah, blah that can help you do this blanket statement result into really, how do you quantify that in a deeper way, make it more emotive, more specific? That is really important.
Here's a little trick. Next time you get caught in that cycle of, I know I meant to do different words, but the cycle just keeps happening. Start bouncing off a few things with people and verbalize it and get them to say, what are you trying to say? And just tell me like one-on-one as a friend, how would you say that to me? And get them to write down verbatim how you say it. And you'll find how you speak is so much more engaging and natural and real. Something happens when we lift our laptop and we start typing we just start conforming to conventions and cliches. And the reason we do that is it's decades of seeing marketing, and our subconscious, everything's stored in our subconscious. And say you're writing on behalf of a gym, for instance, your subconscious goes, okay, we're writing on a gym. Well, cliches. And as you look at it, you go, yeah, that feels right. That sounds like a gym. And you'll show other people, you might sound your boss or your client, and they go, yeah, that sounds right. And all you're doing is reinforcing the cliches of the conventions. So you have to break out of those conventions, and because no one's trying to sound like everyone else, but we do. So just talk to people and write down the natural words you say. That's where the gold is. And that's what I do with my clients. I have a whole day session with them, and I get them to talk. And they apologize because they're talking too much. No, this is what I want. Because you're going to give me a trigger that is the gold. And it's beautiful because how we speak is so natural. When a brand speaks naturally, it's more believable, and that creates the trust.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that too, I've done better at this over the years, capturing what my clients say, capturing what the comments are on social media. So I'm not trying to speak to them in their language with the cliche words like, oh, are you tired of feeling overwhelmed or whatever? But what does it look like when you're overwhelmed? Let's get to the specifics of what happened today. And the more specific I get with that storytelling for my client through their words, through their perspective, it lands so much harder, because then the comments are like, my goodness, it's like you're inside my head, or there's a chip inside my brain. How did you know that I was thinking this exact thing today?
Yeah.
And so that can really take you to the next level with, yes, capture your own real words, and then also capture the real words of your buyer, your listener. And it feels like cheating. It feels like mind tricks, but that's what marketing and sales are, is it's human communication. It's getting to that real layer, right? At the end of the day, that's what you do, is take us from just this concept into real concrete connection and using the emotions to drive things, and not just the logical, pretty words. So I love that. It's incredibly powerful. I feel like, again, I told you I was excited to have this conversation today. I geek out over it. We could talk all day long, but tell people where they can go to learn more if they want to work with you, if they want to gain more of these tools.
Yeah. If you want to work with me, narrativity.com is my business. I've also written a book. If you want to do it yourself, it's called Creating a Blockbuster Brand, and the website is blockbusterbrands.com. And another thing I've just created, I think probably everyone listening is going, how's my story stacking up? I wonder what my quest is. So I've created a quiz. It takes about 5-10 minutes. It's not some like shallow little quiz you do on Instagram. It's in depth, and I've broken down all the elements, clarity and structure and tone of voice and all the things that make a great story. And I ask you questions about your current story, your business story. And at the end, I give you a score and the things that are working and not, and how to fix them. And
amazing.
That's called storytellingquiz.com. Pretty easy. Storytellingquiz.com, and it's free. And those 3 websites,
cool.
You'll learn something
amazing
about storytelling.
I will link all of that in the show notes for you guys. This has been such an informative and just fun interview. Thank you so much, Greg, for everything you've shared today. I'm excited to continue to connect with you and learn more and follow along. This is really, really valuable stuff, you guys. So I hope that you've enjoyed it and tuned in and really picked up some of these huge nuggets that are going to help you level up your messaging. So thank you so much, Greg.
Thank you, Kirsten.